Welcome to lecture 22 of chapter 2 of this comprehensive machine learning, data science and artificial intelligence course. Now here, I just want to do a correction in the previous lecture's last part. In last part, we wanted to see that this 6 is not a Fibonacci number. 6 is not present in this list of Fibonacci number, so it is not a Fibonacci number. So for that, I have to display that, I have to remove that casting. But actually, I told correctly that if you remove the casting, then your script will not work. But I did not save the script, and as a result, what will happen is that it showed the right answer, that 6 is not a Fibonacci number. While I want to actually show that if you don't cast, then it shows the wrong answer. Why? That also will become clear. Why, that I have explained properly. But let us check. So here, enter the number is Fibonacci or not, and I press 6. Then you can see the problem. Here 6, so 6 is 5 into 6 square plus 4, that is that 184, and that 184 goes here, and then its square root is found, but this time I have removed that casting int. So as a result, this whole thing is saved inside S, and that you can check also when I print S. Now S is not 13, but it is floating point. So when I square it again, obviously I showed in the calculator in that lecture that when I square this number again, it will again perfectly give the 184 number, and that means these will give true. But for a non-Fibonacci number, this should return false, but it is giving true, and then this true is obtained here. Any one gives true, then this function will also return true. That comes here, and in that case, this result will be printed. Number is a Fibonacci number. So actually, I wanted to show that why that casting is important. But if you cast it and then try, then in that case you will see that now your script will work correctly. I again enter the same number 6 and press enter. Okay, and now if you see again, oh, I forgot to save once again. Sorry. Okay, save. I think I will have to restart the kernel also for the changes to be effective. So restart kernel and keeping the old output so that you can use it for comparison. Now I run this script, and you can see that it is showing 6 is not a Fibonacci number. That means it is giving correct answer. No, it should not give that. Yes, after casting it, the script should work correctly. So it is working correctly, because what is happening? 5 into 6 square plus 4. So 180 plus 4, 184. 184 goes here, and in that case, its square root is found. Its square root is 13 point something. But now you are casting it. So casting it means only its square root is this, but you are this number, but you are casting it. So only 13 is saved. Then you are again squaring it, because you want to check if that 184 is a perfect square or not. If perfect square is there, then when you find square root and again square, you get the same number back. Okay, so here I square, but I am squaring 13. I am squaring only the integer part. So 169 is, and I am comparing with originally passed number, but I passed 184. So in that case, this would return false, and therefore this would also return false. That false will go here. And similarly for 5n square minus 4, it was 176. And for 176 also, the square root was this number, but again I am casting as integer, so 13 will be saved. I am again squaring, so 169, and original number was 176. So again this comparison returns false. So ultimately what happens? This false comes here for both the cases, whether I pass 5n square plus 4 or 5n square minus 4. For n is equal to 6, false comes on both sides. So this OR becomes helpless. It is a lenient operator, but if both sides are false, then it will return false. And if it returns false, then this will not be executed. So this will be executed, and therefore number is not a Fibonacci number. Again, if I just for a moment remove that casting, then you will see that it will wrongly detect that 6 is a Fibonacci number. Okay, so that is the problem. And here in the output also you will see it will not print 13 as the S, but it will print this string 13 point something and this string 13.26. Okay, but I have to save for that. I have to restart kernel, otherwise my changing will not be effective. Okay, now if I enter 6 and press enter, then where is that output? I should clear the older output. Clear output. Okay, and execute. And now my script is working this way. It is printing 6 is a Fibonacci number, which is not actually, it is wrong, and it is printing the output here 13.56. This is being printed. Okay, so then it is showing that this will, when you square it again, then it will again perfectly give 184 or 176, and therefore this will return true. Similarly for 5 into n square minus 4 also this will return true, and for both these it is returning true. So here true will be returned. So it says that 6 is a Fibonacci number, which is wrong. 6 is not in this list. So everything in the script is just because of that one casting. That is one intelligent piece of code. Int And the logic is that if the number is a perfect square, then in that case when you square root it and again square it, then you should get the same number. That means it should return true. But if the number is not a perfect square, so if 5n square plus 4 or 5n square minus 4 which you are passing here as x are not perfect square, then finding square root and then again squaring will not match with the original number. But for that logic to work, this is required. Okay, fine. Let me restart my kernel and clear all old output. So that error was there in previous lectures output in the lower part if you see. So for the 6th example I have clarified. Now next program. Now here we are checking if an email ID is valid or not. And again you can see this is daily useful. These Fibonacci numbers are also useful in stock market and in many things in nature. Fibonacci numbers are used. Okay. So therefore one should learn this Fibonacci. Similarly, there is another favorite programming puzzle, that is how to check if a number is prime or not. Okay. Now here we will do this thing, checking email address. Even this is very common. Every day we fill up various forms to register for a site, and usually name, surname, and email address, etc. are asked. But how to check whatever email address user has entered, that is a valid email address or not? Okay, and what is a valid email address? For example, here I have given one such email address. This is a fictitious. Okay, so 28 _king. Okay, I just don't consider myself as a king. This is just some humor. Okay, @gmail.com. So what is the characteristic of this email address? This has this earlier part which is alphanumeric. This portion that is alphanumeric. So that is this part that you can see that it is alphanumeric. Okay, and either numbers are allowed, capital or small letters are allowed, or a symbol like dot is allowed, or underscore or hyphen, etc. are allowed. Then this is that concatenation symbol. Okay, then this is that @ symbol. In every email address their @ will always come. Then this is again some alphanumeric for the domain name, gmail.com or outlook.com or yahoomail.com. So that also can be expressed in this manner. Ultimately it will be some letters or some numbers, or it can even have some special character. Thereafter there is always a dot that is shown by this pattern. Okay, and then this thereafter again there is alphanumeric. So this is again this alphanumeric. Their special characters are not allowed. This is domain name, so it does not have special character. It can be .com, .org or .net, etc. Now we want to check if whatever email is entered by user matches this standard pattern or not. Okay, now the whole pattern looks very intimidating, but we don't usually need to remember that pattern. Okay, you just can Google it and give me regex pattern. Regex stands for regular expression. So give me regex pattern for valid email address, and this is globally accepted that every email address must satisfy this. Then that pattern is obtained by you. That this is the pattern. Okay, how to create regular expression for and multiple these answers are obtained. Okay, so I can just take only first one, and this explains each and everything what I explained. This is start of the string, and this $sign is end of the string. So they are actually not part of the regular pattern. Here this is the symbol for starting of comparison, and this is for ending the comparison. But the regular pattern is this much. Okay, and that is here given in this part, or here this much is the regular pattern. Okay, so it is very clear that such pattern can be readily obtained from the internet. So you don't need to remember them, because for everything there will be different regular patterns. So it is fine. But how to compare if whatever user has entered, suppose user has entered that, and how to compare if it matches with this or not? Do you manually check every time that this is alphanumeric, so it is fine, this is underscore, so it is fine? No. There is a module in Python that is called RE. RE stands itself for regular expressions. So you import that module and then define one such function. Okay, is valid email, and take whatever email the user enters as an argument, and then first write this pattern, and you can use re.match. So that means match whatever email user entered with whatever value this pattern gives. And remember, match is different than equals. So that means what I am saying is you cannot write like this, that if pattern equals email, because my email, you can see this is my email, so it is not exactly matching with this pattern. But ultimately all the characters which are there in my email, they can be derived by some permutation combination from these characters. So that is why this equality or comparison operator will not done, but pattern matching will be required. And for that RE has one such function, built-in function called match. So if re.match, and then you take your pattern for valid email address, comma, and the email which you want to decide if it is valid or not. If that returns true, that means that yes, it is a valid email address. If that returns false, then it is not a valid email address. So actual real logic is again being handled here. Okay, this part just takes the input from user. You take n is equal to 3, while n greater than 0. So that means the while loop will be entered, and then email input equals, you are asking user to input enter an email address to check if it is valid. And here there is no need of that casting, etc., because you want email address will be a string and you want to keep it as a string. This RE module or regular expression that are very useful for string pattern matching. Okay, so you keep it as a string only and store it in this variable email input, and then call the upper function which is doing the real work. If is valid email input, again that means what? That if is valid email input equals true, that means when I call that function with the argument which the user has entered here and which I have saved in my this variable, if I pass that variable as argument to the upper function, then in that case if the function returns true, then print email address is valid. But this is often not written. If you want to write, it is always better, explicit is better than implicit. Okay, so you can write it also. Else, that means when I call the function and the function returns false, then in that case print that it is not a valid email address, and then decrement that n by 1, so that now n is 3 become that will become n is 2, and then n is 1, and so on. So maximum 3 attempts will be allowed. Okay, so this is how these email IDs are checked. Let us first execute this function. Okay, and I first check this fictitious email ID only. I have made up this just now. So, and I press enter, and it says that it is a valid email address. But now I write an email ID. First I write some email ID, like say this only I write, but I don't write the domain name finally. I am just writing at Gmail, and then I press, then it says that it is not a valid email address, because the format says this part of format, that is after dot there should be something that is not coming out. Okay, that format is not coming out. So it is saying that it is not a valid email address. This script is good because when your user registers to your site for the first time, then your user's data will be stored in a database. Now if your user enters invalid email address and you don't provide any check like this, then what will happen? Your database is corrupt right from the beginning. Corrupt means it is not accurate right from the beginning. So you have 10,000 users, but if out of them 6,000 users have invalid email address, then they are as good as non-existing for you, because email is the primary means of official communication. So what to do in that kind of situation, that is what this script can do. However, more refined version of this script also is required actually, because one limit of this script is that if I follow the pattern, then I can cheat this script. For example, for data science, there are multiple websites which give many very nice PDFs about latest development of data science. But for that, they often put a condition that you provide your email ID, then only the download button will become enabled. Now, what I often do is that if I don't want to provide my email ID, I just write something like this: abc@xyz.in. Okay, so that satisfies this condition. So then, if I write it and press enter, then it will show that it is a valid email address. And most of the sites that I have seen, they also fail to detect this. So they will immediately make download button enabled, and I can download my document. Because for privacy reason, you don't want to give your email ID to each and every website, so you can use this trick. But even for that, there are certain websites which have that provision that enter a business email ID. This script will not work, but their script is more complex. So if I enter this kind of public email ID, this Gmail or Outlook or something, they are public email ID, then download button will not be available. So that means they only allow that kind of persons to download the document who are actually in the business of data science and who have some firm register. They have their own domain name. So for example, I write this way, then this is now business email ID. Again, this is a fictitious portion, so don't try to email me and at this email. Okay, but this is a real portion. equipeanalytics.com is my domain. So then only the download button becomes enabled. So for making such a script which detects whether the email is public or business email, you have to make some more modifications. But that is fine. For primitive checking, and I will tell you out of 190 sites only provide this much checking. So they will accept gladly abc@xyz.in. Okay, fine. Now, this is the code breakdown with every code, each and every script a very detailed explanation is given. So you should not lose heart if you do not follow a point in a lecture. Then first you should see this explanation. I will be sharing these Jupyter notebooks with everyone. So then you can see this explanation. Now this is one another last I think script. That is a script to check if password meets a specified criteria. Again, when you register to a site, you always have to decide a password. So there are two familiar fields: enter your password and confirm password. Okay. So and the site has decided some criteria. Say this, that there should be minimum 14 characters. There should be at least one uppercase characters. There should be one lowercase alphabetic characters. There should be one special characters, but that should be from a predefined set only, and one numeric character. Okay. And you are asked that design a script which checks if password entered by user matches this particular criteria, and then second it should also check if confirm password entered by user and the original password entered by user both match each other. Okay, so then again this is that script. Again this script starts from here. Now you can say it is just two lines. What is happening? But it is actually calling different functions. So the main is always the module where the execution begins. So main module does not do anything. It defines a variable called original password and calls this function get password. That's all. What that get password does, that I will show you. Then it calls another function confirm password, and get password returns some value that is stored in the value original password, and then that value whatever is returned by get password function, that is passed to this second function confirm password function. Okay. So in the main there is only this much. So let us see first what will be called. First get password will be called. So get password means, let me minimize this so that everything is visible in one go. Okay, still okay. So now everything is visible. So get password will be called. Where is that get password? This is that get password. What it does, it just prompts the user for entering the password and and calls that is valid password, another function. Okay. So enter input, enter a password. Again it is a string. So that means there is no need to cast it and store that password in a variable password. And immediately call if this function, if is valid password, that means call that function with argument password, whichever user has entered. And if that function returns true, then in that case, return that password. Return password to whom? To its caller function. So this is the caller function. Here main is the caller function. So here that is being get password is being called. So that will be returned and that will be stored as original password. But before it is stored as original password, we are putting this condition that first its validity should be checked. And again, validity is not checked by this function itself, but rather it is checked by another helper function. So this is the function which checks its validity. Okay. So suppose user enters a simple password, say ABC. Here we start here that get password function is called. So get password function is called, and user is prompted input enter a password. Now if is valid password and password, suppose user has entered ABC and ABC is stored here. Now you are passing that ABC to this function is valid password, and in that case password regex equals this password is checked so that it meets all these criteria. Okay. Now the question is from where I have brought this regular expression. That is the question. Okay, that I will tell you. Currently I am keeping it as a secret, but don't think I am some Superman or something. I am also layman like you only. And for getting this regular expression, there are some helpful tools which you can use. So somehow I got this regular expression. So if ABC is written, then ABC will be checked with this pattern by using re.match. So re.match pattern and my password ABC. Do they match? So my pattern says that a special character must be there and all that, but ABC does, one uppercase must be there and all that. But here ABC does not match. So this true will not be written, false will be written. Where that return will go, where whosoever has called is valid password. Okay. So there it will go. Who has called is valid password, here it is called. So this will return false, not that is valid password will return false. That means this block will not be executed. Then what should be executed? This should be executed. Then user is displayed the message that your password ABC is invalid, and we are also helping him that which kind of password would be valid. Then it should have 14 characters, then it should have uppercase, lowercase, numerical, special characters, and we are also saying that special characters from this much only. We don't want to provide endless special character. He may be a Japanese or Chinese user, and their alphabet has several special characters. So we are limiting the special characters to this many only. So first let me show the script only for ABC. So that means for a wrong or invalid password. Okay. So then the confirm password will not be required only, because if user's password itself is invalid, then it will not be stored. So okay. Now enter a password. I just enter simple ABC. So immediately that thing is printed that invalid password and match some password. Your password should match this different criteria. criteria and so on. Okay. Now, suppose I enter some valid password this time, say some lowercase, then maybe some uppercase, then maybe some numbers, then maybe 3-4 special characters, then maybe what else is required? Number, special character, uppercase, lowercase, everything is there, I think. And total characters should be 14, so I don't want to take chance. So I just add still more characters, X, Y, Z, and P, W, Q, and everything. So it is definitely more than 14. Okay. Now, if I press enter and check whether my password is valid or not, and it is valid, that is why it is not displaying any error message or something. It just simply asked to confirm the password. So what is happening? I entered a valid password. So first, this original password is equal to get password executes. Get password is this function. It prompts the user to enter the password. Whatever password the user has entered, that is stored in this variable password as a string. We are passing that string to the isValidPassword function. IsValidPassword matches the user entered password with that complicated regular expression, this complicated regular expression. Okay, and then you can, if the match is successful, re.match is successful, then return true. Since my password I carefully crafted so that it was successful, true will be returned. Where that true will go, whosoever has called this isValidPassword. Who has called isValidPassword, then isValidPassword was called here. So if isValidPassword returns true, then return that password. Where that password will be returned to whosoever has called this function getPassword. So where that getPassword was called, here it was called. So there that password, whatever was entered by user, that will be returned because it is a valid password we have checked, and now it is stored as original password. Then this line will execute. Confirm password with original password as argument. And confirm password is this function. Okay, it just compares whether original. It just again asks user to enter another confirmation, and if that matches with original password, then it will say that password match. So confirm password input, confirm your password, and that is stored here. And this is a simple comparison. This is not re.match because we want now the password to exactly compare with each other. So you should understand the difference between equality or comparison operator and match operator. Match just matches if your entry satisfies a particular pattern or not, while equal this decides if left side and right side are exactly identical or not. So here their confirm password is coming, and I will put whatever that complicated password I entered. I will put that password here. Okay, and press enter, and it shows that password match. So this kind of situation is used. These kind of steps are used in every website to register users. Okay. Now one last thing is here. How I got this pattern. Then actually I got this pattern from this ChatGPT only. Actually, I just asked it question somewhere. Yes, I asked the question that give me a regular expression for me a matching password and which obeys following condition, and I put all conditions which were given to me as a part of question, and it gave me this answer. Now the question is, when ChatGPT was not there at that time, what people were doing? Then at that time also there were some websites, regex maker. If you just search that regex maker, then you will get some website like this, regular expression generator. Okay, and in this regular expression generator, you can put some values that what do you want. First you can select your programming language, and then you can decide the criteria. What do you want as in your regular expression, and then it will automatically generate the regular expression. But ChatGPT has actually kind of closed down many such small entrepreneurs in that way. Okay, so yeah, you have to learn, or at least use of AI tools. You have to learn to survive in your business. Of course, this is not a business website; it is ORG, so it might be just for non-profit. But now you can always use ChatGPT, and I encourage whenever possible you can use ChatGPT. For example, at the end of this is the end of all scripts, but at the end there is one exercise. So you will try to do exercise yourself as much as possible. But whenever some bug is there, then you can just paste your script here, and you can ask ChatGPT that where is the bug, and please give me the corrected script. Don't do it from the step one itself. At least try to write some logic, because otherwise your logic will never develop. But sometimes just a minor difference, you miss the parenthesis, your one quote is single quote and another is double quote, and you go on wasting half an hour or 1 hour for finding that bug. That is now not required. Just paste your script, and ChatGPT will find all bugs and it will give corrected scripts. Okay, thank you.